Welcome once again. I'm JD Marr, Vice President of Community Development for K-12 Solar. Very excited to have with us today the President of the Trustees of the Walnut Creek United Methodist Church. I want you to meet Sam Parino. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you, JD. Glad to be here.
All right, we're going to go through a few questions for you because your solar system is in. Tell us about your community, Walnut Creek and United Methodist Church. You know, how many church attendees you have. A little background about your church.
Sure. We are a relatively small church in the center of Walnut Creek. We have about 250 members. We pride ourselves in being very active in the community and very active in our mission work around the world.
Well, I know, Sam, that for myself personally, I have solar on my home. I have a small 5.6 kilowatt system. And for everyone who goes solar, there's a point where literally you've just had it. You're paying these expensive electric bills. There had to come a point with you and your financial committee that you said, we have to do something to curtail this. It's getting out of hand, right? And so essentially, why did you at that point decide to go solar? I know you had an opportunity to look at a lot of different solar companies. So what was it that caused you to finally make that decision?
Well, we've actually been looking at it for a couple of years. We were looking for ways to reduce our big expense in utilities. And so we had been looking at solar, but for the last couple of years, we hadn't been able to make it work for two basic reasons. One, we didn't have money up front to put into a big system. And two, we didn't want to punch a bunch of holes in our roof. So those were the two things that were preventing us from doing anything. And then K-12 came into the picture and basically solved those two things, where we didn't have to put any money up front and we didn't have to punch a bunch of holes in our roof, which we were worried would come back to haunt us later.
So take us through those electric bills. I mean, were you seeing your bills going up and up and up, every single year? Maybe you can tell us how much you were actually paying for electricity.
Well, on a month, I know the numbers on a monthly basis. We were paying about $1,600 a month, which is, for the trustees, we take care of all of our buildings, and for the church itself, that bill is really our single largest bill, other than salaries for our staff. So we were looking at ways to reduce that number, and solar turned out to be the right solution for us.
And we proposed the math for you. We have a very specific algorithm, if you will, a mathematical equation where we take your bill for the last 12 months. We analyze it down into 15-minute increments. So based on that and looking at the math, what are you now expected to be paying for solar? What's your savings going to be per year?
Well, the savings per year is going to be about $4,800 a year. So we're going to, from the, when we turn the switch on, we're going to be saving $400 a month right off the top. And again, with no money out of pocket. That was the big thing for us. We don't have a lot of extra money lying around. So we're going to save $400 a month first year, and then it's just going to go up after that as power costs go up. Our rate is fixed for 20 years. So we're really excited about that potential savings adding up.
Yeah, in fact, you're expected to save over 20 years upwards of over $700,000. That probably had to be very enticing to you and your financial committee.
Right. I mean, that's a big number. 700,000 for us is huge. It's big for any church, but for a small church, that's a big number. And even just the $4,800 a year starting out is a big number for us. But it is nice to know that that's going to be a flat cost for us for 20 years, so we don't have to put in inflation into that number. So it's a.
If you don't mind, just for a second, just very briefly, can you share how your financial committee decided to finance the project and take advantage of the federal tax credit?
Well, it's pretty simple. The way we did it is we got a loan. It's county money, and we were able to put together a power contract where we're paying for our power 20 years out. So we're paying, basically constant payments for 20 years for that power. And then we're able to take advantage of a tax credit. The people that installed the system are able to take advantage of taxes. So between the money from the county and the tax credit makes it financially more attractive for us, and that's how we were able to do this without having to come up with the project money up front.
Sure, and we're able to do that because we installed the system on your school as opposed to the church. So you were able to, through K-12 Solar and us, you were able to capture what essentially was a 25% discount on the overall price. Now, you decided on a 43.5 kilowatt ballasted solar system. This requires minimum penetrations in your roof. You mentioned that on the outset. Now, why did the committee decide on this specific type of solar system and installation?
Well, we have a great roof on our education building. Like you said, this is where we have a school. We have a school with autistic kids, and we decided this was by far the best roof that we had for the project, with great sun exposure. But we were concerned it's a flat tar and gravel roof, so we wanted a system that had that good south-facing exposure, but we wanted to minimize the penetrations in the roof so that going down the road we felt more comfortable that we wouldn't have issues with the roof repairs and things like that.
And if I'm not mistaken, you were able to switch from an A1 to an A6 rating on PG&E, which ultimately allowed you to purchase a smaller size solar system, but yet reap the same amount of kilowatt production that you would get otherwise, correct?
That's right. And we're going to be producing the bulk of our power during the summer months when the power is at its highest premium. So we'll be producing the most then, and then we use a lot of power on the weekends, particularly on Sunday when church is in session. But with the setup, we're able to net all that out, and turns out to be a good advantage for the church and for the school.
And Sam, I take at this point, you're obviously a happy customer. You wouldn't be talking with me unless you were. So something went right throughout the whole process. So we're almost finished here, but take us through the before, during, and after process with specifically K-12 Solar. You had a lot of different contractors to look at. You had different bids. You chose us. It's a chance for you to talk to other church members, other finance ministers, to explain to them about why you specifically chose K-12 Solar. Let's just start with the beginning. How was your first experience with us?
Well, just starting out, I guess I was the person in charge at the trustees of this project. So I dealt with, like you said, several different companies. And when you start dealing with companies and you get into the details of your project and how it's going to work, you deal with quite a few people within these individual companies. And I really felt strongly after a while that K-12 was the most professional company that I dealt with. And I really felt the most trustworthy company that I was dealing with. I had a good sense that I could trust the people that I was dealing with. They did what they said they were going to do. And for me, that's really the most important thing, is that if I'm going to do a project with a company, I want to trust the people that I'm working with.
Oh, that's important. Thank you very much. We're humbled that you said that and you feel that as well. So then it's time for installation. Everyone's in agreement. You've got the right company. You feel good. There's a trust that has happened there. Jason Tappan comes into picture, our operations manager. So talk about Jason and your experience with him and the process of installation, because you have a unique program at your site. You have a specific school, and a school for autistic children. And we were able to put the system on top of the school as opposed to the church or a carport system. So tell us about your experience with Jason and the installation process.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. And, when we got going, unfortunately, the way the timing worked out, the start of the project coincided with the start of the school year. And so we had to put our heads together to figure out how we were going to do that, because we do have an autistic school. The kids are sensitive to loud noises and unpredictable noises. So Jason knew that they were going to be making quite a bit of noise on that roof that is directly below where where the school's in session. So, we thought we could make it work, and we were working with the school to make it all work. And then Jason just came up with the idea. He said, "Hey, well, why don't we just not do it at all during the school hours? We will install this system at night after school." And that just solved the problem for all of us. And we were so appreciative because we knew that would increase the cost of the installation to do it during those hours. But without our prodding, Jason came up with that idea, and we were just very thankful, and the school was very thankful that we didn't have to deal with any noise or any disruption of their for the kids during the school hours. So
Sure.
It was a great solution.
So then we come to the after, everything's installed, your interconnection is coming up with PG&E, you're about ready to have your Solar Sunday, your community event where we introduce, we do a ribbon cutting, say a prayer service, and because as you know, Sam, you go solar one time, and that's going to be up on your roof for the next 30, 40, possibly 50 years. These panels will be producing electricity, and that's exciting. And as we finish up, Sam, again, thank you so much for your time, but how was it at the after part? I mean, after it was installed?
Well, I think like you mentioned, we're very excited about the system going live, producing the power. I think probably the number one thing for our parishioners is a good sense that we are going to be producing our power with a renewable source of energy, and people feel really good about that, and we feel thankful that K-12 came and provided this opportunity for us, and not only are we saving money, which will allow us to do other good things in the community, but we're also producing our power with a renewable resource. So we feel very good about the project, and just can't wait for it to go live.
And very lastly, would you recommend K-12 solar to other churches, nonprofits, businesses, or homeowners?
Absolutely, all of the above.
Nice. Sam Parino, president of the ministry, the financial minister at Walnut Creek United Methodist Church. Sam, thank you so much for everything. Very kind words. God bless you and your team. And here's to your meter spinning backwards for years and years to come.
Thanks, JD.